How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Wolf, and welcome back to, I believe we're at episode 10 now of the Ultimate Survival Guide. I left off last time after talking to Lady Diala, which is a really weird name, and I left off talking about rarity, or kind of leaving you guys on a cliffhanger about rarity and quantity and that sort of stuff. Rarity of items found, which is a topic I really don't have like much information on or much experience with, but I can try my best to explain at least some parts of it. Other games have, styles of like magic find and that sort of stuff. And this is essentially PoE's version of magic find. I need to talk to Hargan to get our skill point. Talk to him. There we go. That turns in our little busts that we got the last time. For our extra skill point here. Let's grab that, and let's kind of decide where I want to go next. I'm really not sure. Part of me says take blood magic, so I don't have any more mana problems, but I am running multiple auras, so that is probably not a good idea. Now, if I were to take blood magic, what would essentially happen is that all of my mana would disappear, and as a result, using any like auras or that sort of thing will start chunking into my health pool. Now, you can give and take with using blood magic. The reason most people do is that if you have enough life, for example, you don't have to worry about mana anymore. If you have a spell that attacks like whether it's slowly or like slowly but spends a lot of mana, then having it chunk like, I don't know, 50 health from your health pool isn't really an issue when you have like 450 life per second or something like that at endgame, at least for most of my builds and that sort of stuff anyways. Blood magic also gives you like 35% increased maximum life. So my war chief character that I was playing managed to get up to like 8k life, which is basically immortal in this game, which is spectacular. And he was using blood magic, which meant I couldn't use any auras or anything like that, but the character was basically unkillable. Now, the only thing that this character is really having problems with at the moment is kind of damage, I guess, but at the same time, we don't really have a major issue just yet. Our damage is kind of okay. I do plan on most likely switching to a two-hander, which I do have in my inventory right here. So I'm contemplating going and taking butchery for two-handed damage and that sort of stuff, but I'll leave that be for the moment. And we are going to, let's go for combat stamina, I think. Either combat stamina or tireless, one of the two should work for me. Or I could go for Scion Life Wheel. I could be really greedy. Do I want to be really greedy for HP? Yeah, why not? Let's start with combat stamina then. So we're going to get our life regeneration there. And we're going to aim for more life regeneration and 5% maximum life right here on combat stamina. Okay, so now we got our Infernal Talc here, which was what we needed to burn through the sewers. So let's go back here, and I can kind of try and get back onto the topic of rarity, or increased rarity of items found. So we were talking before about how games use their form of magic find, and that's essentially what rarity is. There's two versions of magic find in this game. There is rarity and there is quantity. Rarity means that the drops you get may be of a higher tier of rarity. You may get higher tier currency and that sort of stuff. Whereas quantity just means more stuff drops. So a lot of people tend to go towards quantity because that just means that you have more things dropping as opposed to rarer things dropping. So when it comes to getting loot and that sort of stuff, the biggest thing that I always say personally is my counter argument to the whole streamer RNG thing. Well, it can be true sometimes. It's more that the more stuff that you're killing, the more chances you have for loot to drop. Now, with quantity, essentially, think like this, okay? If you get extra quantity, say every enemy you kill drops 2 items instead of 1 item, right? But if you use rarity, then every item you get has a chance to drop higher. So you're getting 1 drop with a chance of it going higher, or you're getting 2 drops, and the chance of it going higher is individual on each piece. So you're ending up with a higher chance of getting more important stuff, or if anything, just getting more stuff in general for going for quantity. Now that being said, you can make a mix of both, because you get items with, like my gold necklace here, you can get a gold ring as well, and you can run 2 of those, and there's certain uniques and stuff that are based around using them for Magic Find and that sort of stuff. There's some builds based around just going for Magic Find in the first place. So I haven't really messed around with that too much, but when I do make a build, I will most likely comment on the Magic Find state a little bit more in its own type of video. Now, what we have come across here is our first crafting recipe. Now, there are others in the game. There are others like farther back. I don't know exactly where all of them are just yet, because this is a new addition from Betrayal League. Also, if I can speak. From Betrayal League. Okay, can I get that word out? I think I can do it. But essentially what these are is once you click on these recipes, you will have them permanently unlocked on your account. Now they will, I believe, reset from league to league, so you'll have to get them again. But if you're in standard, they will be unlocked for you pretty much permanently. Now these are crafting recipes, which are very, very simple to explain now. I was talking before about the prefix and suffix system, which confused quite a few people, but I did try my best. But this whole crafting thing allows me to explain it very, very simply because they reworked the menus. So let's click on this, and you'll see it gives us physical damage rank 1. Now this is a craft available for weapons. I think it was on shield or something else there as well. But physical damage is a craft available for weaponry that takes up a prefix slot. So if you have a weapon that has an open prefix, you can go to the crafting bench in your hideout and you can put the Fizz modifier on it to create weapons like the current one that I'm using that gives you increased physical damage. This will allow you to force a specific roll. In that case, say this weapon I had here had, you know, everything it had, but it was missing % increased physical damage. And that's a very, very important roll for making weaponry, at least like depending on the build. For a basic Fizz damage Marauder style build, that is a very, very important roll. So if this weapon were lacking that % increased Fizz, I would basically throw it away. Now that means I don't take items at face value anymore. I have to start thinking about, could I craft on that? Could I make that better? Is there ways to make this item really, really godly? And in some cases, like in my Ranger case, for example, you can take a very, very good weapon that looks like complete trash on the outside and turn it into something very, very good, all depending on what you're looking for. So, for example, the Ranger that I've been playing recently is a Chaos Damage Ranger. Now, this character focuses entirely on Chaos damage and pretty much 0 into physical. So the weapon that I wanted wasn't the weapon with that increased physical. I wanted to get as much attack speed on the weapon as I possibly could, and then craft on increased chaos damage afterwards. So because of the crafting system, I can start looking for different types of weapons to suit my case. So for our build that we're playing at the moment, we just want as much Fizz as possible. However, if I get a weapon that has, say, added Fizz, attack speed, what else? What else can I roll that's really good? I don't know, Bleed could be something. It's not really that great for me, but it could be something nonetheless. If I get a weapon like that and it doesn't have the increased Fizz on it, it's not necessarily vendor trash anymore. I could craft it into something good if it's worthwhile to make said item worth it, you know? It's the whole crafting system. Once I get more currency and we get more stuff available to us, I will be showcasing that off a little bit more. So we are going to turn into Maramoa here. I think that's how you say his name. And we're going to get access to a bunch of new skill gems. We're going to get Ancestral War Chief, and Earthquake, and Tectonic Slam. Now, Tectonic Slam got reworked recently with the new league. They will also do reworks on skills, which changes the way they work, updates their animations, makes them do more damage. They'll buff stuff, nerf stuff, etc., etc. Although nerfing stuff in an action RPG is very, very odd to me. I'd rather they just buff everything else up to the standard, but whatever, you do what you gotta do. Now, I was talking about playing Earthquake before, which I really can't go off of what I was saying before because that video is not going to be uploaded for like another 2 days, so I don't know if we're going to be playing Earthquake, if we're going to be playing Sunder, etc., etc. This is recorded right afterwards. So in our case, we're going to be taking Ancestral War Chief. This is basically Ancestral Protector, except it's AoE instead. So let's find where our protector was, and let's slam him in there. And it is a little bit less damage, but that's because this is level 8, and this is level 1. Keep in mind, gem levels are very, very massive. Okay, is there anyone else I need to talk to for quest markers? I don't really remember. Maybe your boy over here. Let's go talk to him. And what do we have to do next? Travel to Linaris Temple. Alright, can do, boss. So I believe in the barracks. Yep, he is. Linaris Temple is right beside the Ebony Barracks. I was having a bit of a mind malfunction there, but that's how it be sometimes. Alright, let's speed our way up here, hopefully. And slam. Man, every time it alternates and I get like the shitty slam, I get sadder and sadder. That's how it goes. So let's put down our new War Chief here, and you'll see it starts doing AoE damage. I made a build entirely based around this this totem here. I do need to rework said build because it didn't really pan out for me. But they are very, very powerful totems if you focus on them and you add a lot of things to them. Depending on what we get for this character and later on, I may even adapt it into a totem build, who knows. Because then I can start explaining how we go adapting things depending on changes, depending on items we get, and that sort of stuff. I was already talking to you earlier about the changes to Sunder and to dual wielding and that sort of thing, meaning that the build may not always stay Sunder, and it most likely will not be staying dual wield, which is something that I would, what is it? How do I say this correctly? Teaching you guys how to adapt something around the current changes is a very, very good idea, so then you can leave here knowing that no matter what you make, you can probably fix it at least somehow. And considering that they added in the skill tree reset thing that I was talking about beforehand, I mean, that's been there for a while, but considering you can reset your skill tree and that sort of stuff, if you have a character that just all of a sudden no longer works through the means I've been explaining in the past episode or so, of like dual wield changes and your gimmick is just no longer working and you fully spec'd in to say dual wield, you can read a set of patch notes, see what kind of changed, see if your character is RIP or not, and if it is, then you can reset it and hopefully make something worthwhile. We're going to avoid this boss just because he's annoying. I'm going to hippity-hop my way past this man and make our way over here in an attempt to find Piety, who is the first boss, or first like major boss of Act 3. And after that we can maybe get Dominus, hopefully. Okay, I am desyncing heavily. Let's not fuck with that instead, thanks. Now, I don't really know how to explain what I just said, because I lagged backwards, I'm pretty sure. And desyncing is a very weird thing that happens in Path of Exile, where sometimes your character will like unsync from the game or unsync from the server or something like that. I don't know the exact explanation or implications of it. All that I know is that sometimes you'll lag out and your character will teleport backwards, which is normally not great because you'll teleport backwards into a pack of mobs and then die. Had that happen very, very many times. So it's good to kind of identify when you're desyncing or like when you've used an ability that can desync you. Like Leap Slam, for example, is an ability that can desync you very, very easily and often. I don't know how to recreate said scenario, but I've had a scenario where if I'm spam Leap Slamming, like say if I have my mouse on the other side of the screen, I'll use Leap Slam and I'll just teleport to a different plane of fucking existence. That's how far I'll leap. To which at that point I'm like, okay, my Leap Slam is desyncing me. Let's stop using Leap Slam or Leap Slam like within my character's range, and then it pulls me back into sync with the game. It's a very odd thing to have to do, but it's the things we do for a game with this many possibilities, right? There's always going to be something massively broken somewhere. But that's how it be sometimes. Level 29, wonderful. I believe one of the upcoming episodes may be on getting Ascendancies. I covered the Ascendancies in episode 8, but I didn't want to really go get them in that episode because you shouldn't really go into Aspirant's Trial and that sort of stuff until... Is that worth it? It might be. I'll grab it, see if I can craft it. You shouldn't really go into Aspirant's Trial or aim for the Juggernaut stuff that I was explaining until generally I'd say about 30 if you want to be safe. Because otherwise you're going to have a kind of very, very bad time. You get smacked around by Azaro quite heavily. That's what Azaro likes to do. Beat you with a stick over and over, or a sword, depending on what he is that day. Because that boss shifts around literally daily. His mechanics change on a daily basis. So you will have to relearn a couple of things. Which means that dying to Azaro and dying to traps and stuff in there is very, very common. Now I believe this character will be tanky enough to not really have to care. At least for the first trial or two. But I know for those of you who play like Ranger or play Witch or that sort of stuff, you'll have a very interesting time, and Azaro can make a lot of people very, very mad. And for good reason. It's a interesting place, that's for sure. I don't know. My stance on trials is like, I'd rather not, but they give such good benefits and stuff. You can't really just say, no, let's not do that. But you can buy a carry if you're playing in a normal league. But since I play solo self-found all the time, I kind of can't gimmick my way out of things and just buy carries from people. Wish I'd love to. Alright, now let's see if we can find where Piety actually is. God, the wind's starting to pick up. Oh man. Going the wrong way. Go, can leap slam? Can you work with me, please? It is really starting to pick up. I'm gonna have to close my window. Give me 1 second. And it's starting to rain as well. The glories of being in Canada. My fucking igloo might blow over. Okay, let's make our way over here. Keep hippity hopping. I think I've gone the correct way. I hope. I don't want to have to backtrack. This character is way too slow. Yeah, I think we've gone the right way. Hopefully. I'm so used to having like different keybinds. It's really weird because Path of Exile are just like, I don't know, MMOs and stuff in general have taught me to like muscle memory my keybinds and stuff. Just from how long I've been playing MMOs and that sort of stuff. So I can learn muscle memory for stuff in like under 2 hours normally. Which is like rather weird because then if I go play a different character, everything is all fucked up. So for example, my all of my Marauders, their war cries and stuff, are all on my W key. So if I hit W, I get my war cry and stuff, right? That's just what I personally play on. But what gets even weirder is after playing, say, 2 or 3 hours of my Marauder, or of this character, if I were to go and play my Ranger, I would be pressing W instinctually every time I took damage to try and war cry. Which is very, very odd. And the reason that this kind of has sparked something in my brain at the moment is because every time on my... Can I leave this? I fucking love this game. It's broke as shit, but I love it. Okay, as I was saying, set of views. It's a 4-link, but it's Dex, and I don't have enough Dex. So that's kind of meh. As I was saying, I instinctually hit my F key for my Flask, and then I instinctually hit one of my other movement speed keys for playing my, Ranger for the past, like, however many, I don't know, hours that character has. Quite a few. Okay. And I can leap through doors. Oh boy. This game is a thing. I need to be micromanaging that swing timer, I think. I need to be making sure I sunder with my left hand before I dump the ground slam. So I'm not wasting all that massive damage over there. Because that makes me very sad. Makes me very sad, because I'm missing out on a lot of damage every time I do that. Is that left hand? There we go. Point proven. Got the level up before we go into Piety. Let's kill him. And Wand, I don't really care. Got the 2 points to put in. Where was I going? Right, combat stamina. Let's grab that. Bam. Wonderful. Alright, in through here. You notice I have my 50 banner stacks. So let's run over to Yield and Piety. Wait for her to do her little talk. Put our totem up beforehand. Get our little wacky man. Put down the war banner. And get to slamming away. Where did she move to? She has multiple phases. This phase is ice damage, which will slow you down. Keep in mind we have rather decent resists, so I don't have anything to really worry about. Just make sure I get the... Am I not able to... There's my left hand swing. There's my right hand swing. Left hand swing. This is going to be a right-hander. Okay, this is screwing with me now. I'm trying to min-max and the game is playing against me. That's how it be sometimes. Whack him again. Get him with a stun. Keep in mind I was talking about how Vol Ground Slam can stun bosses, right? So I stunned her out of her ice attack, or her ice arrows and stuff there. And we get another crafting recipe for lightning damage rank 1. Wonderful. And let's go back to town and turn in our quests. Turn in the Piety kills, shall we? Do I have any? Let's free up some inventory space while we're here. Talk to our man. Sell that. I'm going to keep that, I think, because I'm going to probably roll that. Keep that. Is that a good flask? That's an okay flask. That's an even better one. Can sell that. Ancestral Protector is whatever. And let's dump some of this in my stash quickly. Put all of this in there. Move that. Put this in my gear tab. Hey, I have an axe. Cool. Put that over there. And put that there. You know, I could be greedy, actually. Let's see. Let's see what I can hit with. Let's try to make a good weapon. So we're going to quality that twice, because I don't have any more armor scraps. I wonder if I can buy one. Hold on. Can I be gimmicky? Yes, I can. I had exactly 6 armor scraps. So let's try and make ourselves a big old two-handed weapon for level 32, shall we? Let's try and craft ahead a little bit. So I hit this with an Orb of Alchemy and pray. Well, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good weapon, friends. That is a very, very good weapon. And as I was talking about beforehand, it has, oh my god, does it have, oh, it hit hybrid. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Of course I get this on a leveling weapon. Of course I hit hybrid fizz on a fucking leveling weapon. Of course I do. I was going to explain earlier how I was talking about the prefix, and if it had an open prefix, I could craft the increased fizz damage, but it already has fizz damage, and it's got hybrid fizz damage, and it's got added fizz damage. Oh man, streamer RNG, I tell you. Well, I guess in your case, recording RNG. I don't know. But still, let's see. Let's identify this. Max life, wonderful. Life gain on kill, even better. Lightning to attacks. Now, I kind of want to do this little exposition on 2 attacks before I really can off this video, because I've discovered a few things when it comes to scaling up physical damage. I'm going to be trying to put it into effect with this character, but there's a, what is it? It's a piece of armor. It's a unique item called Face Breakers that give you 800% more fizz damage to unarmed attacks. Now this means you can't use a weapon. This is normally used with like an Ancestral War Chief and that sort of thing to create some pretty insane damage. Now, because of my research into Face Breakers, I realized that the main way to scale fizz damage is to get fizz to attacks, or just like added fizz pretty much everywhere. Because I was messing around with it in a build previously, and I put on Face Breakers, and I was wondering why I gained no real damage from it. I was using one of my building programs and that sort of stuff. And what I ended up discovering is that because Face Breakers were a more multiplier, up to like 800% more or something like that, they would give really good damage. But if they don't have anything to multiply on, then it's pretty shit. So you need to get like base added fizz to attacks pretty much everywhere if you were going to use a pair of those. Which then struck up a new kind of conversation of, if I get added fizz to attacks on all my normal gear for a fizz build, what does that do for me? And I'm really not sure yet. I haven't been able to experiment with it just yet. So we're going to be kind of doing that as we go here, and seeing what I can come up with, and these sort of damage increases I can hopefully get. But if you're looking for things to go for gearing wise while leveling, go for fizz to attacks, go for max life, go for whatever your main stat is. It's pretty decent. You just get like strength or more dex or int or whatever. And then get resists, because we have our 2 little resist rings over here, which I believe are resist capped, right? Almost. Not fully resist capped, but close enough. So we're going to throw that on for more maximum life, which is wonderful. That 32 max life is way more. Because keep in mind, I was explaining how the life multiplies via the more modifiers and that sort of stuff. Just how I was explaining fizz multiplying on top of like added and that sort of stuff. I don't know, math in this game is weird. I hope that explanation kind of made a little bit of sense. While leveling, aim for like added fizz to attacks on rings, on gloves, boots, etc, etc. As well as you can use like a rustic sash to get increased global fizz damage to just amp your damage higher and higher. Fizz is a very weird one for me to scale, and I still have to kind of experiment with it myself. Now I am going to how do I go about this? Yeah, it should be fine to just link this. We go for Orbs of Fusing. That will guaranteed link because there's no link in between there, so it can't go and mess with anything else. So that is our level 32 weapon, which is going to be just amazing. It has faster attack speed than my cleaver too, which is kind of a meme. But that thing is going to hit like an absolute freight train. So hopefully at this point, I've uploaded the previous episode, and we'll figure out if in the next one, or next one, if we're using Earthquake with this glorious little thing here, and we're going to see if we will be destroying the planet. It's currently monsooning outside, and I can see it running down my window. That is intriguing. I wonder if you guys can hear that. Okay, let's put that in there, and let's hide this away for a rainy day, which I suppose technically is right now. And let's identify the more important flask. Gives us removes poison, which is wonderful, and then gives us increased recovery when on low life. I can actually use that to talk about something while we're here. Essentially, flasks can roll modifiers. I don't know if I covered this in a previous video or not, but this is quite integral to your end game setup. Flasks in some games, like, they don't really have any effect. You just have health potions and you're good to go. Like in, say, Diablo, for example, you can get like a unique potion, and that's about as far as you get. In PoE, flasks are very, very vital and integral to a character. For example, my ranger, that I've gone back to like 2 or 3 times in discussions, has a flask that will literally double their damage, which is insane. It's a unique flask, of course, but that is how powerful and how potent flasks can be if you get a specific unique flask. In our case, we were talking about added fizz. If you're someone at endgame and you're watching this because you don't know why you found yourself here, but you like information, if you're playing a physical build, grabbing a Lion's Roar will allow you to get added fizz to attacks while you have the flask up. It's also a granite flask base, so you get like 3,000 armor, you get added fizz, and you get like knockback as well, which is incredible. Unique flasks are amazing, but in our case, you can roll some insanely good survivability modifiers on flasks. Now, the main one that I go for if I'm playing like a low health character is a panicked flask. You'll see we were talking about prefix and suffix beforehand. It's very easy to explain on flasks. If I hold Alt, you'll see there's the prefix mod, which is cautious, and then the suffix mod, which is of curing. Now, the prefix that I like to take is panicked. It is really windy out there, goddamn. Which makes it so that if I hit like below 25% and I push the flask, it will instantly heal me for the entire amount of the flask, which is amazing. It reduces the flask amount by like 25% because it needs to have some kind of downside. But it will heal you for, in this case, like 1,000, but it would heal me for like 800 because it lowers it 25%, so 750. I would get a 750 instant heal if I was under 25%. Which is basically what I call an oh shit flask, which is wonderful. Now, where it becomes vital in endgame is getting immunity flasks, like you see here. We have immune to poison during flask effect. Now, poison can kill you very quickly, but what's more important is if you're in endgame and you don't have flasks of staunching, you're going to have a very, very bad time. Because you can run into bleed and corrupted blood. Now, bleed will, its damage will increase like the more you move around, and considering I never stop moving, you can imagine how fast my characters die to bleed. So, because I normally run a Quicksilver, depending on the character that I'm playing, I'll have my Quicksilver of Staunching, because I'm always pressing that over and over and over. So as a result, I'm removing my bleed or being immune to bleed like 95% of the time, which is amazing because Corrupted Blood is a bleed modifier from enemies that will really destroy you because it stacks on top of itself. And it can stack up to like 20 stacks, which on certain characters will just delete them instantly. There's a boss in one of the endgame bosses that will apply like 17 stacks in one hit. So if you can't immune that or remove that, you die. It's quite funny. And I've died a couple of characters to that before, so... making sure you have immune to bleed flask is wonderful. Another one to make sure you get is immune to freeze. Those are the two that I go for. Some people will say curse is a really good idea. I've been messing around with curse immune flasks myself. They're useful, but I don't remember to press them at the right times very often, so I don't really use it as much. But it is still very useful. But freeze flasks are good because if you activate a strong box, you'll find, especially later on in game, you'll activate a strong box and be like, what the fuck, why can't I move? And then just die. That's because the strong box, the blue or rare, unique strong box or whatever you ran into, freezes you on activation. It's a nice little sneaky modifier that I like to put on strong boxes that makes it so you click on it, and you get frozen, then everything spawns around you and you die. Which is hilarious when it happens, but you can mitigate that by taking a immune to freeze flask. So you can put it up before you click the box, or you can put it up during, when you get frozen, you can press it and it'll break you out of the freeze, which is very, very useful. So those are the two flask modifiers I would recommend if you're already playing at endgame or you ran farther ahead of me or something like that. I always have those types of flasks just ready to go. Personally, the flasks that I put them on is I have a Granite of Freezing. Granite flasks we will hopefully come across later. They give you 3,000 armor for like 5 seconds, which is 25% or 30% physical mitigation. Something like that, which is great, which is absolutely great. So if you have to break out of that freeze, you break out of the freeze with massive amounts of armor and take less damage from all the stuff around you, which is a wonderful synergy. And then I put the staunching, or like the bleed removal, on my Quicksilver because I'm trying to keep that up as often as possible. Or I just put it on my life flask, and then I do like panicked of staunching. So that's panicked of bleed removal. So essentially it's a oh shit flask that I can hit, and then it'll just remove my bleed stacks that were killing me in the first place, and it full heals me. So that is my recommendation for flasks and flask modifiers, and that is going to bring us to the 32-minute mark, which I think is going to call us good for this episode. Thank you very much for joining me, and when we come back next time, we shall start making our way to Dominus, I do believe. Let's turn this quest in really quick to see what we get from this man. Skill point, wonderful, and then we have to go to the Scepter of God to attempt to fight Dominus. I shall see you guys in the next episode, and as always, take care, lads. Thanks for making it to the end of my video. If you enjoyed it, take a look at the 2 pieces of content you're seeing on screen right now. If you wouldn't mind, you can click that big red button and see more updates from me. And if you want to go even further than that, then you can take a look in the description to find my new Patreon link. You boys gotta keep the lights on somehow.